The following program may contain subject matter and language suitable for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
You better not know.
I know. Come on. Are you ready?
You're not even in the frame, bud.
I'm here.
Can we not move a little closer together? Because
I don't know, can we?
Yeah, because
but now we look like you're squished all to hell.
Yeah, I know, but we don't. Otherwise, then you only get a third of you. That's not cool.
You don't need much more of me.
Well, then let me sit there.
No.
Motherfucker.
No, you need to separate Jeff and I so he doesn't see the questions.
Yeah.
That's
I
right.
will cheat.
If we know anything about Jeff at this point.
All right. So,
Oh,
here we go.
All right.
You ready?
Yeah.
On 3, winging it, 2, 1.
Anyway, back to the show.
Implied you are.
Yes. If we could get back
The
to
show's
the
very
show.
important, and it would be good if
So
if we do
today,
that.
because I've got, count them, 40 questions for
we're not doing
Jeff.
40
Well,
questions.
fucking right we are. 40 questions. We're not going to bother. We don't have time for this. And we don't have time for this. Before we start this process,
Have we not started?
this 40-question trivia process
All right.
with Jeffrey?
Okay.
Let's take a look at some of Lou's greatest minutes, a compilation of a Meltdown minute with this guy.
Hobbies. Most people have them. It's $1 billion industry, folks, hobbies. And there's movies that have been made about them, and there's books written about them. I might be thinking hobbits. This week the boys are talking about virtual reality, which is a topic that I'm fascinated by simply because I don't, much like a lot of other stuff in life, I don't really get it. My point is, what's cool to me about hackers is that it's the only job in the world where you can get caught doing something wrong, breaking a law, and you get a job offer out of it. If you're going to put a black bar on a guy's junk, you're not fooling anybody. Hey, dude, I want you to read my manifesto. You know what I'm saying? That's a tip-off, probably. They sell stuff to help you sleep. They sell stress balls. They sell stress bats. I've always had pets when I was a kid. Although I had sea monkeys when I was a kid, which I wasn't. It's a fucking scam in case you never ordered them, because not one of them is vacuuming when you get the thing. You're like, oh, they're brine shrimp. When Norm and Jeff asked me to do a little piece on addictions, at first I was complimented. You see what I'm saying? And then I was like, maybe they know more about me than I thought they knew. Hey, I'm going to go to a cottage this weekend. And he was like, I don't understand what a cottage is. I don't know why. That's not precisely my dad. My point is, I said, well, it's a house that is in the woods. And my dad was like, well, I left Italy to leave a house in the woods.
I'm so sorry you had to see that.
Yeah.
I apologize that you guys.
Unfortunately, we're contractually obligated to show that.
If it makes you feel any better, you feel exactly like every teacher I've ever had feels.
All right. Putting on my my glaze.
Top hat.
Putting on my glaze.
Oh, I'm not even going to see the questions.
Oh, you'll see them if you want, if you look close enough.
I look close enough.
We have what I am going to call.
Oh my God, 40 questions.
What I call Norman Lou's Unfair Warner Brothers Trivia Smackdown.
Who's Norman Lou?
I'm Norm. You're Lou. Remember from the beginning of the show?
I thought you were saying that's so. I'm tired. Where am I?
Jeff, this is in sections, okay?
All right.
There's I believe there's
40
I'm calling
sexy
them cells. Okay. Get it? Because cartoons were done on cells.
Right.
So there's
That's funny.
If you want to go, I'll distract you.
Cell 1 is
I got my
called-
glasses on for these questions, even though I don't need my glasses.
That's
not gonna
right.
help.
And the rules, of course, is that
Feels like it's going to help.
Jeff does not have any materials to look at.
No.
Nope.
This is all from memory.
Material free.
Yeah, material free. And good luck to you, Jeff, because I think I got some really
you.
good questions.
Screw that. I hope you
around.
fail.
You might.
Cell 1. Here we
You
go.
know you're going to get all 40.
Oh, before we start, let's have a graphic over Jeff so we can see how many right and wrong he gets.
yeah.
Like up around here somewhere?
You know what? Don't worry about it.
I'm just trying to help you. Wow.
Okay, just leave the production stuff to production.
I see what your friends mean now. Okay, go on.
Here we go. Are you ready, Jeff?
I am ready.
All right.
They got to be like this, though, dude. We can't,
That's fine.
because there's
that's fine.
40.
If that's fine. Trust me, they go by really
I can't
fast.
get past that number.
Okay.
All right.
Try to get past this.
All right.
Norman Lew's Unfair, Warner Brothers Trivia Smackdown.
SmackDown!
Cell 1. Very clever.
Oh, not by Cell
Name
20.
that tune. So this is all about composers. 5 questions plus 1 bonus question. You got it?
Okay, yeah.
Here we go. Question 1. There have been numerous composers who have worked on the Looney Tunes series. Carl Stalling was one of the most famous of the Looney Tunes composers and arguably the man to give their cartoons their distinctive musical style. Who were the 3 composers before he took over in 1933?
Raymond Scott was one of them. Ah, boy. You know what? I don't think I know the 2 others, but Raymond Scott was definitely one of them.
I don't have Raymond Scott
No, he
on the
doesn't.
list.
He doesn't.
Wow.
I'm looking
know,
at the list
Raymond
as
Scott
well.
was there before Carl Stalling, though.
I am very surprised by the answers, though. Chuck Mangione.
Well,
The guy who wrote the Simpsons theme. It's so weird.
Danny
Elfman?
Elfman? No. Okay, so here we
Okay,
go.
you both knew who
The
Danny
answers
Elfman
that I've gotten are Frank Marsalis, the original
yes.
composer
You're
who
right.
worked from 1930 to 1933,
Yeah.
Norman Spencer from 33 to 36, and Bernard Brown, who also
what?
composed during the 1933 to 1936 period.
Now that you mention it, yes. Raymond Scott was in there as well. Maybe just after Carl Stalling, but Raymond Scott sort of...
Dude, I don't know why you're upset. That's 0.
I'll tell you why he's upset,
0.
because he's got 0 out of 1. He's 100% incorrect.
I'll tell you who...
Now, but
Yeah.
5 minutes from now.
Well, we'll see.
I could say who... I could tell you that Milt Franklin and Eugene Podney all worked at the same time
Yeah.
as Carl Stalling.
Yeah, that's not one of the questions.
I know that's not one of the questions. And then
You know
Bill
what's-
Lava.
Well, I don't know if you know this yet. Frank Marsalis, what's interesting about him is he also invented Marsala chicken. He didn't. He didn't at all. Did I mention
All
cards?
right. Question number 2.
Okay.
What was Carl Stallings' first cartoon?
First cartoon. Rhythm in the Bow.
Yeah, that is incorrect. It was Porky's Poultry Plant from 19.
Okay, here's how I'm feeling.
Which was directed
36.
by Frank Tashlin.
Yeah, that's not in there.
Here's how I'm feeling. I feel like the purpose here of you coming up with these questions.
Well, hang on a sec. Hang on a sec, because Jeff just kind of answered the next one because he's Mr. Smarty Pants. Who directed Porky's Poultry Plant?
Frank Tashlin.
Okay, that's 1. Good for you.
Still doing well, though.
Yep. Okay, here's a name that you threw out, and let's see if we can get this one. Question 4. Eugene Podana. I'll do it again. Question number 4.
I don't.
Eugene Podany composed for 5 shorts in 1951 while Stalling was recovering from a mild head injury. Name 3 of them.
Room and Bird.
Okay, that's 1.
Showhound.
Nope.
Okay, Room and Bird's definitely one.
Okay.
Okay, I'm in the right zone because
It's awfully quiet.
it's Hummer Time.
Nope.
No.
That's a
You
misleading.
got one more guess.
Okay, Room and Bird. Oh, they're just not coming to me. Room and Bird stands out for sure.
Okay. You give? I say uncle?
Yeah.
Lovelorn Leghorn,
Oh, yeah.
Room and Bird, French Rarebit, The Wearing
Yes.
of the Grin, and The Leghorn Swoggled were the 5
Yes.
that you only had to pick 3 of.
I wouldn't have known 1.
Yeah, I know.
in all fairness,
that's,
you know what I
that's
mean?
what I'm saying. I said these are tougher questions.
I'm going to stick up with
These
you
are-
for you, dude, because I feel like this is a setup.
Yeah.
I feel like this was done expressly to make you feel bad, and I'm not on board.
Well, I got Room and Bird.
Go on.
Question 5. Milt Franklin began as Stallings arranger and orchestrator in the late 30s. During the mid-50s, Franklin was composing more than Stalling, and after Stallings' retirement in 1958, Franklin became the sole composer for Warner Brothers cartoons. What was the last released cartoon to feature his music?
The Jet Cage.
No.
It was because he died halfway through it, and Bill Lava took over.
Seriously?
No, to feature no. I think that was you're right, but the one that he actually completed was Mother Was a Rooster.
Completed, yes,
from
you're right.
1962.
You're right. He completed Mother
Yeah.
Was a Rooster, and he sadly died during the recording of
Wow.
Jet Cage, that's
the Jet
right. Yeah,
Cage.
now I'm impressed that he knows that.
Yeah.
but I'm still
And
not giving him a
Bill
point.
Lava or William Lava took over
Yeah.
as the music director. It's interesting because you watch the Jet Cage, you can hear Milt Franklin's distinctive style, and
Yeah.
then halfway through you
Changes.
can hear Bill Lava's distinctive style.
That's really weird.
Yeah, and you are correct. Mother Was a Rooster was the last full.
Well, of course I'm correct. All right, now that was cell 1. All right?
all right.
So he did on that one. So
I don't like your
let's
attitude, mister.
Let's see about cell 2.
right.
Who made this mess? And it's all about the creators. Ready?
Okay.
Question 1. Which creator disowned almost all of his pre-1948 short films and claimed that if he had the chance, he would have burned the negatives to all of them?
All the pre-48 cartoons. Chuck Jones.
Yes.
Nice job, bud.
Good
Yeah.
job. Question number 2. Frizz Freeling
That's not
animated on
pronounced- It's
what?
pronounced Frizz Freeling.
I'm going to say Frizz Freeling because I don't feel like fucking up my jaw.
That's the best kind of Freeling.
Question number 2. Frizz Freeling animated on what collection of cartoons before becoming the main director of Looney Tunes?
Bosco.
Correct.
Is Bosco not a chocolate drink in the States? Like a
It
chocolate?
is.
For
No,
real?
you're thinking of Philip Bosco. He was an actor.
No, he created Hill Street Blues and Alice. I think those were the two that he did.
Alice!
Bosco.
I remember. I forgot Mel.
Yeah.
Oh, Mel.
Think back! All right.
I was.
So dumb and
So
awful.
dumb. Okay, question number 3. Tex Avery and Frizz Freeling
There you go.
hated having to deal with Warner Brothers' mandate of including what in every Merry Melodies short?
A song that was owned by the Warner Brothers.
Okay,
studio.
Hold on.
Perfect. The song number was the answer.
Can I just,
Yeah.
because this is actually interesting to
Yeah.
me. So you're saying part of their contract was they had to have a musical number in every cartoon.
That's why they were called Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies originally. Was that they? And in those days,
But Robin Hood doesn't have a musical number in it.
Robin, like you mean the movie?
The Daffy Duck one?
Yeah.
No, by that
No.
point, we're talking about 1930s.
Oh, I see.
The Robin Hood Daffy is like from the 1950s.
Oh, I see.
The
Okay.
early cartoons, like the Bosco cartoons, and then Buddy, who was another early Warner Brothers character, they had to at least take a sample of music. And in those days, movie studios owned the rights to a lot of songs, including Warner Brothers. So they had to, like, Lady Play Your Mandolin was a song, for example, or The Girl at the Ironing Board. And so they had to include at least a portion of a Warner Brothers owned song.
Interesting.
That is really...
And Tex
yeah.
Avery and Frizz Freeling did not like that. They just wanted to make cartoons and
Yeah.
without this burden of having to include a song
Oh,
necessarily.
very, very well done, Jeff. Question number 4.
Okay.
Frank Tashlin strongly disliked making shorts of which character? Was it A, Porky Pig, or B, Bugs Bunny?
Boy, that's a good question because he did brilliantly with both characters. But I'm going to say Porky Pig.
You're right. You're right.
Didn't Frank Tashlin also play the Riddler? No.
He did direct Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin movies in the 50s.
In which movie? Which one?
I can't remember off the top of my head, but he's one of the few people that directed cartoons and did an amazing job, and also was a live.
You know what I
action
love about
director.
those movies? Like when Abbott and Costello, Marx Brothers films made sense at least. The Abbott and Costello ones were like Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein.
Yeah, well-
when the fuck would that ever happen?
You know.
Like you're on vaudeville walking down Broadway.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Like, isn't that an odd?
And
you
then,
don't
of course,
care.
don't forget, hey, lady!
Oh, dude. Why has he always got his leg stuck in a ladder? Like four
it's
times
funny.
in, if you're Dean Martin, would you not go, maybe not have him around a ladder? You know? Oh, I wonder what chair at. I'm in the window with the lady and the thing and the high.
It heights the pain.
Right? They pan back to Dean, and he's making it with some chick, and he's got a martini in the other hand. And you're like, who's got the better deal here?
Yeah, seriously. All right, question number 4, and this is a bonus. If you can tell us why Frank Tashlin strongly disliked making shorts of Porky Pig. It's a bonus, so if you don't get this one, it doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
I mean, mind you, that's a really
I
good
wasn't
one.
even aware, as I said, that he disliked making shorts. Well, because most of the Porky Pig cartoons were in black and white in those days, and you wanted to do cartoons in color. Bugs Bunny cartoons were always in color.
Why?
Okay,
Except for one where he appears near the end.
Why were they always in color?
Well, at one point, the Merry Melodies were in color.
So wait, Merry Melodies and Looney Tunes are not the same thing?
I caution
No,
you
and
to
they actually
talk
had-
about
Well,
this
I'm curious about this.
because it all has something to do with future questions.
Do you mind if I go back to the conversation?
I do.
We were having a moment.
Your moment is done, like your coffee.
So don't talk about the difference between.
Well,
I'm
yeah,
walking into a cave.
Let me just give you this because we got to move on.
So
we
it's
got,
nothing to do with
we got
black
a
and
lot
white,
of
right?
questions. No.
Okay.
He felt that he had less flexibility and humor value compared to characters like,
I think that's
like Bugs
fair.
Bunny. You know,
Yeah.
that's all.
Porky Pig doesn't have
He
Bugs Bunny's
actually
range, for
directed
sure.
more Porky Pig cartoons before Bugs Bunny. Porky Pig was around for 5 years before Bugs Bunny was created.
Wow, really? Eh?
Yeah.
Okay, here is the actual question number 5
We're only at 5
of
oh
the
my
second
God.
section, second
right.
cell. 1942's The Ductators and 1943's Tokyo Jokio were directed by whom?
Norm McCabe.
Yes.
Nicely played.
Nicely
buddy.
played.
Good.
Now we move
Who
on
hated
to
his cartoons, and yet he was an excellent director.
Why did he hate his cartoons?
He just didn't think they were very good. They were in black and white, although the black and white cartoons were amazing. The
Mm-hmm.
Ductators is the best World War II propaganda cartoon you could ever.
Like better than than Chaplin's film?
Well, with cartoons.
It was cartoons.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Chaplin
the
was a real
Ductators.
It's actually remarkable they
Yeah.
would take on something of that heavy
Well-
in nature at that time in history, right? Because we're talking pre-World War II or one or
We're
rather
talking
two.
during World War II.
Yeah, but
Wow.
don't forget, they were films designed for Americans to hate the enemy.
Well, what's interesting is that
know?
the when the town, I don't know if the town is still downtown, the movie theater.
Bytown.
The Bytown.
was the town, though.
They
I
used to
worked at the
do,
Bytown.
and you've probably seen these. They used to
Yeah.
do screenings of old
Yeah.
Looney Tunes cartoons from like the 30s
Yeah.
and 40s that were all pre-war, and they are really something. Boy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like
Watch the Ductators. It's simply one of the best cartoons ever made. I'm going to go that far. At least it's in the top 100, and that's
Wow,
actually
okay.
that's actually a compliment. Top 100. If it's 75, that's actually pretty good because a lot of amazing cartoons. Obviously.
I expect you to do really well on this one. This is cell number 3. Who said that?
Okay.
And this is all about the voices.
Okay.
See how I did that with my voice? Because
good.
it's all about the voices.
otherwise, I wouldn't have understood.
Question number 1. In the early years, 2 women
Uh-huh.
voiced a character by the name of Sniffles. Name them.
Bernice Hansen is one. Or Bernice Hansen. Mm-hmm. I can't remember the other one. I'm going to say Sarah Berner.
You're right.
Okay.
Absolutely right.
You said Bernie Sanders, I heard Bernie Sanders.
Bernice
I was like, wow, that guy's
and Bernie Sanders.
He's had quite a life.
Yeah,
that
no,
guy.
Bernice
Yeah.
Hansen and Sarah Berner.
Okay. Question number 2. When B. Benaderet and June Foray were unavailable to voice female characters, which male voice occasionally stepped in?
Mel Blanc did the voice of Miss Christie
Yep.
once.
Okay.
At
no.
least once.
You're good. That's the question. Don't go on.
Do you know, and you probably know this, but do you know that Mel Blanc
Yeah.
Blank.
Blank.
once went to his, I guess, a throat doctor of some
Yeah.
kind, and this guy was also the doctor for.
Enrique Caruso.
There you go. And he said, "You might as well finish the story
said
because
you-
you cut me off, you son of a
You
bitch."
can finish it.
See?
No, go ahead, Jeff.
See how Jeff fucked you
He
over
said
like
his throat muscles were equal to that of the great Enrique Caruso.
I'm not
That's
surprised.
that's amazing.
I'm not surprised because of the things that he had to always do to get these different voices.
Well,
out.
in his natural range of voices.
Oh, yeah,
like-
but he worked on that, though.
But you guys know as actors, if you know, I did a project years ago where I had to do 5 or 6 different voices. By the time I got to the 6th one, I was really stretching to try to make it
Yeah.
different. And yet, if you look at the variety and range of the voices he's done,
Yeah.
it's like to me, Bugs Bunny is not Bugs Bunny without Mel Blanc.
Yeah.
like
yeah. And I was going to say, even before Bugs Bunny, Mel Blanc had his own radio show.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. He had his own radio show, and it was Something Town. I can't remember the name of it, but he did all the voices
He was also
on
on
the
Jack
town.
Benny. He was a regular on
Yeah.
the Jack Benny.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
Oh, yeah. The guy was incredible.
Jack
incredible.
Benny, what a weird. All right.
Yeah. All right. Question number 3. Name the voice actor who had a hormonal condition that prevented his voice from deepening during adolescence.
Sorry.
I'm gonna say Stan Freberg.
No. In fact, the correct answer was Dick Beals.
Can I just
Dick
say
Beals, I know who that is.
that it's hilarious that this guy had a condition that, in essence, his balls wouldn't drop, and his first name is Dick. Like, how do you not feel like the universe hates you at that point?
And think of the name Beals. Just change that around and it's balls.
Dick Balls.
I just thought of that.
And Dick Balls,
there was
secret agent.
There was an actor in particular films in the 80s called Dick Balls, and it's probably different than what we're talking about. Probably.
All right, moving on. Question number 4. Name the reason Mel Blanc's name is the only one seen in the voice credits for most of the cartoons, even the ones where there are obviously other actors.
Around 1942, I don't know if that's the exact year, he was given an exclusive contract.
Wow.
Because he was a freelancer. You can hear him in the late 30s and early 40s doing voices with Walter Lantz, Woody Woodpecker, for example.
Oh, he
Voices-
did Woody Woodpecker as well.
Originally,
So
yeah.
he came up with the bit. Is that him?
Well, yeah, exactly. That was
Wow.
Mel Blanc. and he was doing voices at MGM. So around 1942, 43, they gave Mel Blanc, Warner Brothers, of course, gave Mel Blanc an exclusive contract, and one of the conditions of that exclusive contract that Mel Blanc alone would get voice credit. So in other words,
kinda shitty, though.
Arthur Q. Bryan, voice of Elmer Fudd, always did a great job, never got voice credit. Dawes Butler, rarely.
So what do you think? What was the deal behind? Like that's a little mega
That's an
maniacal.
interesting bit
Yeah,
of
it is.
history, but that's not the answer that I got.
Okay.
The answer I got was that he was denied a raise.
That's right. That is part of it. That,
Wow.
That was
Okay.
Leon.
But even then, that's super petty.
Leon.
It's petty, but I mean,
Leon.
Come
yeah.
on, Mel.
You're right. It is, especially when you think of the other greats. I mean, B. Benaderet never got
Yeah.
credit.
Yeah.
Never.
No, Arthur Q. Bryan, the great voice of Elmer Fudd, never got credited. So, Rabbit of Seville, where Mel Blanc does a great job singing opera as Bugs Bunny, Arthur Q. Bryan, who obviously deserves just as
Dude,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
does not get credited. And I as an actor, I wouldn't be able to live with that. I need to. People
Yeah.
need to know that I didn't do
Yeah.
that voice. That
Well,
was
and you
Jim
know what? And
Foray
not-
or whoever.
And not in a vainglorious way, but in a way that it's like I've worked really hard to get to a point in my life and my career where I'm really good at this.
Yeah.
It's not about the acknowledgement so much as it is about fairness.
Yeah.
Right? Like that actually kind of turns my opinion of Mel Blanc a little bit, to be honest.
He you know what?
Well-
He was brilliant. He was very egotistical. I sort of see that in interviews. Fascinating guy, talented guy, and I love what he did. But he seemed to have a pretty big ego, I hate to say. An actor with an ego, I know. Like, that's nothing new.
Well,
but-
here's the thing too, though, Jeff. When you take any actor who of that kind of quality and he's got that much involvement in everything, when you've got people surrounding you day in and day out, telling you how amazing you are and blah 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 blah, I imagine even the most humble of us at some point are going to start believing that shit. And I would like to think not, but I'm not perfect. There's no way. Like,
Sure.
I've never been in that situation.
But there's that whole notion of buying your own press, right? Like
Yeah.
the
Oh, yeah,
idea that
I
mean, at the end of the day, if you're fortunate enough to be in a sound booth making duck noises, fuck off.
I know. You've got the
It's
life.
interesting.
Yeah.
Around 1957, when they did the Three Little Bops, Mel Blanc does not do a voice on that. It's Stan Freberg, who did not up to this point get credit. Stan Freberg did a bunch of voices for Warner Brothers, and he does the singing narration. He does the voice of the Three Little Pigs that are jazz musicians and the Big Bad.
Yeah.
And Fritz Freeling, who directed the cartoon, he said Stan Freberg deserves credit in this cartoon. Forget this rule about Mel Blanc. I'm putting Stan's name in the
That's very
credits.
cool.
So,
That's very cool.
good
All
for
right.
Fritz Freeling
Sorry, I know you
deciding
got a lot of
No, that's
questions.
fine. Question 5, the last here in the voices. The original voice of Bosco, Max Maxwell, was replaced by whom?
I think it was by a woman, but I could be wrong. I'm going to go the other way because he had such a deep, booming voice. But I'm going to say Billy Bletcher, but I don't
Okay,
think
no,
that's
the correct answer was John Murray.
John Murray.
John
I did not
Murray.
know that.
Okay, we're going to move on now to our next cell. Cell 4. What direction are we headed? This is all about director. See, I even did that thing with the title, right? Played with the titles to
Excuse
make
me,
it
that's
more.
Cool. That's cool.
I feel like he feels he's not getting enough credit for the thing.
I know, he
So
needs-
let's just try to.
He needs
So-
exclusive credit.
Well, no, I want him to feel good.
I'm happy. I feel good that I'm hosting this segment with my good co-host, Lou. Question number 1. All of the classic directors, for example, those who worked in the original studio, are now deceased. Who was the last one to pass away in 2010?
Wow, that's amazing. 2010. Jeez.
Yeah.
Fritz Freeling.
No. The answer is Rudy Lariva.
He directed the
Never heard his name before.
He directed
Yeah.
the low-budget 1960s Roadrunner cartoons, which aren't that great. But to be fair to Rudy Lariva, he was working with really tight budgets. He was a brilliant animator. He also worked at UPA, the UPA studio in the 1950s. Mr. Magoo and
Oh, wow.
Gerald
Yeah.
McBoing Boing. So Rudy Lariva, despite
he's been- yeah.
the Roadrunner cartoons that he did in the 60s that weren't that good, he was a very good animator. And if he had the money, he probably would have been able to do some
more?
really
Yeah.
good direction.
Okay, question number 2. This director only directed 2 cartoons in 1933. I've got to sing, A Torch Song, and Buddy's Day Out before being fired and replaced by Fritz Freeling. Name him.
Tom Palmer.
Correct. Very good. Question number 3. Name the director who directed 5 shorts between 1933 and 1934, starting with Buddy's Beer Garden and ending with Buddy's Garage when he was abruptly fired.
I'm going to say Jack King.
Correct answer was Earl Duval.
Earl Duval, yes. I do know these names.
Is that so, Mr. Smarty Pants? No.
And don't drag me in your thing, dude. I like Jeff.
So do I. I love him. Question number 4. What was Tex Avery's debut short in 1935?
It was Gold Diggers of 49.
That's correct. That is correct. And the last question
That's
in
a
this
deep pull.
section. How many shorts did Friz Freleng direct in total?
Oh. Just at Warner Brothers, not counting his MGM. He directed for about 25 years.
We'll give 2 different numbers then, dude.
And did,
Well, no, for real, because
Yeah,
Okay.
you can guess.
he directed for about approximately, let's say, 30 years, and directed and still continued to work in the cartoon business as a producer, like the Pink Panther shorts.
Just a number, Jeff.
Anyways, 30 times 6 cartoons a year. I'm going to say 180.
No, that's not a bad guess. I'll give you one more try. Go higher than that.
200.
Okay, the correct answer is 266.
Okay, I have 2 things to
Yeah.
say here. One, you just acted like every contestant on every Canadian game show I've ever seen. 180, go higher. 200. This is the most conservative leap I've ever seen. Second, the Pink Panther shorts with Jackie Mason doing the aardvark is honestly some of the greatest animation I've ever seen.
Hey, Ed, come here. I
I
want to
don't
eat you.
believe that was Jackie Mason.
That was Jackie Mason.
Jackie Mason did
Really?
the voice.
Because I'm... Okay, I
Or at
like
least,
that.
at least it
what
was,
are you doing?
No. That was Jackie Mason's... That was who he was supposed to be.
Yes, you're
and
right.
Dean Martin was supposed to be
That's right.
the end. But it was, in fact...
I think it was Jackie
It was,
Mason.
it was
it
Pat
wasn't.
Schneider. No,
Pat Schneider from One Day at a Time.
John Biner did.
It was John Biner.
John Biner.
John Biner did those voices.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's remarkable.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they're so
John-
entertaining.
John Biner.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
they're so entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah,
John
you-
Biner.
All right.
Great Canadian John Biner.
Pat-
Oh, he's Canadian. That's cool.
Pat Schneider did the voice of the inspector. It was
That's
not.
right,
It was
that's
not Peter
right.
Sellers who did the cartoon
That's
voice.
right. It was
Pat Schneider.
Pat Schneider, yeah.
Before his career in Meats, is that the idea?
And on One Day at a Time.
Yeah.
Okay.
He has had a varied career.
Believe it or not, we're already at cell number 5.
Wow.
Cell 5.
That's like question 6. Don't get excited, dude. Right?
So what that means is there are 10 questions in this one, and
Okay.
that's the final 10 questions. So you see, we went through them pretty quick. Cell 5 is called All Over the Place
All right.
because it's mixed trivia.
This is what you just did. See, that went really quick, okay? Remember before you're complaining? I've just shown you're a dink.
Dink Bales. Yes. Okay. So Jeff, this
Final 10, buddy.
is now. Oh yeah. What
All
I'm
the
saying
marbles.
was,
All the marbles.
I can't see the graphic because that's production's thing, and that's
In terms of
fine.
keeping scoring.
And they don't. I don't have an earpiece, so they can't tell me how many he has right and wrong at this.
Well, you have an
point
earpiece.
in
You just
time.
took it out. You've been swearing to production since we got here.
And but this is 10 questions. Your last chance to really beef up your score. You ready?
I want
this
to try
is-
to answer one.
This is all kinds of different
totally
questions
ignored me.
from different areas. Got that?
Okay, got it.
Here we go. With question number 1. The most infamous example of executive meddling is the ending of The Heckling Hare. The released version ends with Bugs Bunny and the dog falling off a cliff. What did the original ending feature?
They fall off another cliff, and they Bugs Bunny and the dog say, "Here we go again,"
So why would they
You
cut
know
that?
what? I'm going to give you
because
that.
it was the
Yeah.
punchline to a dirty joke.
Yeah.
Here we
What was
go
the dirty
again.
joke?
Well, I don't know the joke, but it's something about having sex.
Come on, you give me just a punchline to work with?
Having sex again, like, oh, we just did it, we're going to do it again. Is it?
But
yeah.
you can
What
do
a
that?
bizarre
Is
thing.
that possible?
No.
Well, assuming you can.
I've seen
Not
movies
these days.
where guys do it, but I think it's because they're professional.
And editing.
Yeah.
So the correct answer, I'm going to give it to you because the answer was that Bugs Bunny and the dog falling off the cliff 3 times.
Okay,
it was
maybe.
an actual number.
Okay.
And apparently...
But 3 is a comedy number. That's why.
Right, and apparently that original is now gone because they actually scrapped all the...
Oh, that's
You'll
too bad.
never ever see it.
Yeah, but the 3 there is interesting to me for real because 3 is
three
like
is
the-
funny. 3 is funny.
Yeah, 2 is not funny, 1 is not funny.
But 3 is funny.
Rather, 1 is funny, 2 is not funny, 3 is funnier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. if you
And
wanna look at it that way.
that cartoon does fade out, And it still got a funny ending, but it would have been funnier had they kept the original ending that Tex
Yeah.
Avery.
So who caught that then? The studio?
Well, it's the days of the Hayes office when movies and cartoons were.
You'll have to give me more to work with. I don't know what the Hayes office
The
is.
Hayes office was instituted in 1934.
Like I like he says it like I'm just supposed to. Oh yes,
yeah.
the Hayes office.
The Hayes
yes.
office, Lou.
Where
Come
you would go
on.
to get hazed, obviously.
There was no standards, if you will, of morality in the movies
Really?
in Hollywood. You look at movies from 1932, 33, 1931, a lot of them are very sexually suggestive, amongst other things.
Wow.
In 1934, the movies were cleaned up, and that included cartoons. You couldn't have any open-mouth kissing. You couldn't have any suggestion of nudity. There were no more toilets.
Could you have a guy doing this?
Yeah, that was acceptable. The 1931 version of Maltese Falcon, I can't remember the woman who plays like Miss LeBlanc and all the characters,
Yeah.
but Mary Astor played her in the 41 version. In the 1931 version, she's in the bathtub having a bath. Now, you don't see her naked, but she's obviously naked, and it's very suggestive. You know, she's very sexy and whatever. In 1941, they wouldn't have been able to do the same thing, in this case with Mary Astor, because that
Wow.
would have been too sexually suggestive.
Interesting.
So cartoons were not above this as well. They had to pass the censors as well. So the censors probably got hold of this, knew it was a dirty joke at the time, and said, no, you're
That's
not going to
interesting.
have it.
Wow.
I also think it's interesting that people have sex in the bath. Ever try that?
Although the tubs were bigger back then.
They would have to be.
But you know, Jeff, what he said is true about in the 30s, how movies and, were really suggestive. And most of the porn I watch is from the 30s.
You just think that it would go the other way. You know what I mean? That it'd be more suggestive. I guess it did,
It
right?
wasn't.
More-
And you
well-
watch a movie, there's movies that
Why would it go the other way, though? Because,
because-
people are becoming more sensitive. I mean, look at the shit that you could say in the 70s.
Well, but that's
you
not
can't say
sensitive.
now.
That's way more prudish versus like sexuality
Yeah.
and
It's
how
always been
people
a hot topic,
address
though.
ethnicity or whatever are two different things in my mind, right? Like if you look at the comic, the whole Bill Gaines fiasco in '50s with comic books, I think it was, where they had to they went to a House Senate committee, they had to testify in front of the Senate, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And it was the owner of Mad that they raked over the coals because he was
Wow.
doing all these horror comics, and that were pretty violent and whatever else, but not any more violent than shit we see today.
Yeah.
So I find it interesting that there was more of a prudishness as we supposedly went on as an evolved society.
Yeah, I guess.
You know what I mean?
I guess in that way, yeah, that does.
It sort of
does
goes
kinda
back
make
and
sense.
forth because behind these people, it was audience members, especially audience members in the United States, that were complaining about the sex in the movies. They were complaining about gangsters. Gangsters are becoming too popular and being glorified, and so. But you can see a movie in 1933 where somebody's committing adultery. In 1934, they wouldn't have been able to film that.
Wow.
Or you commit adultery, you have to get punished somehow. You either have to go to jail or you have to die.
So there's got to be some kind of karmic revenge.
Yeah, you cannot. You
Interesting.
cannot. You had to be. If you committed murder, you had to be punished.
God,
you
people
had
are
to,
so
you
uptight
had-
about sex.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
I
you
know.
had
Holy
to-
moly,
You had
crazy.
to either.
I'm taking my pants off.
You know what? Me too.
All right.
All right, question number 2. When Bob Clampett started out as a director, he was only allowed to make black and white Porky Pig cartoons. How many black and white cartoons is he credited for?
The exact number I don't know.
I
but,
want the exact number, Jeff.
that was over
so mean.
approximately a 4-year period, so 6 year. I'm gonna say
Go with the
24.
math again.
Listen.
Go higher.
34. Is
Okay.
that another Canadian answer? Canadian game show answer?
Yeah, correct answer
I just
was...
feel like we were on Price is Right, and I hate the one who was always like $101. Oh yeah.
I know 2 people that have won the. 2 people.
Me
that have won-
too.
Well, Josh Grace.
Yes. Have you
Josh-
heard the story?
Yeah, I've seen the video.
So in case you guys don't know, because I think this is interesting, and if you don't
Sure,
know,
yeah,
a mutual
that's-
friend of ours won, this is years ago, won
Yeah.
the Price is Right showcase showdown or whatever. Gets to the border, at which point they say to him, you owe us 10 grand or whatever it was in tax. And he went, no one mentioned that at all. So he had to leave the stuff there.
Wow.
Because you don't hear you won the showcase showdown, by the way, you're going to have to pay the tax if you go across the border.
Yeah.
There's never that little disclaimer there.
Yeah.
You know
Game
what I
show
mean?
tax in California is quite high. It's like 20%.
Is it really?
It's a lot of money, yeah. They take a lot.
Wow.
Yeah. All right.
All right, anyway, the correct number that we were looking for, and you did not win the showcase with this answer, was 44.
44.
Yeah, if you
That's a lot.
if you-
I can name all of them.
if you had just gone higher, Jeff.
I
That's
can
a
name all of them.
lot of cartoons,
All right.
man.
Question
Porky
number
Wacky
director.
Land, one of the best cartoons ever.
It is fantastic.
Robert Clampett directed
It
that.
is fantastic.
Question number 3.
Later went on to discover oil while he was out shopping for possum.
Chuck Jones' directing legacy started in 1938 and lasted until 1964. What was his debut short?
The Night Watchman.
Correct.
Nice.
Question number 4. What was his last Looney Tunes short in 1964?
Night Watchman Part
That
2.
he got credited for. I know it. It's.
He doesn't know it.
I do know it.
He does know it. Can't remember it.
One of the last
Uh-huh.
was.
It's a play on words.
I know.
That helps.
I know.
Because it's only like there are a few words.
Yeah.
No, I can't.
Everybody's
It was the last
that's true.
Roadrunner cartoon that he directed, and it was called.
I think you should give me a
It
hint.
starts off where he throws the dynamite and then hits the cactus and comes back and explodes in his face.
I don't know.
Oh, this is driving me crazy because
Jeff, you're severely out of frame. Just so you
why
know.
am I sorry about
Yeah.
that?
You don't want to. Can I just say as an aside because it reminded me of that when the bounce back thing.
Uh-huh.
One of the best running gags I've ever seen on The Simpsons is Sideshow Bob keeps walking on a rake. And it smacks him in the head, and they extend it over like 3 seasons,
yeah.
and they still do it, and it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
War and
Anyway.
Pieces.
Yes.
Oh,
that's
nice!
Correct. You
See, I was
got
buying
it.
him time. See
I,
what I did?
had
Yeah.
the title zipping along.
No, I
which
bought
is-
you a little time. Okay, you're welcome. Go.
Yeah, Lou
War
did
and
help you
Pieces.
there.
I did help.
War and Pieces.
Okay.
I'm helpful.
Yeah, we only need the answer once.
War and Pieces.
Here we go.
War and Pieces.
Question number 5. There were 2 color remakes of black and white Porky Pig shorts. What were they?
Doe for the Dodo is a remake of Porky and Wacky Land. And well, it was. For
No, Jeff. No.
No, they weren't. It was not.
Well, it was.
There were only 2
Well,
remakes.
I'm telling you,
of
Doe
Porky
for
Pig
the
shorts.
Dodo is a remake of Porky and Wacky Land. There's TikTok Tuckered, which was a remake of Porky's
Okay,
Bedtime
that
Story.
is correct.
That's one.
But the other one is not.
You know this, dude. I've heard you mention this.
It's Engine Trouble. Or no, it's something that was a remake of Scalp Trouble, which is a remake of Engine Trouble, or something like that.
And what was the new title? Also a play on words.
Scalp Trouble.
Like
You're
every,
the
like every
worst.
cartoon.
I can't remember.
All right, the correct answer there was Wagon Heels.
Wagon Heels. Yeah.
I love how you thought that was
But
helpful.
I will tell you for a fact that Porky and Wacky Land, black and white cartoon directed by Robert Clampett, and years later Friz Freeling
Yeah.
directed Doe for the Dodo, which
Sure.
is a
Sure.
remake.
Okay.
And it's in color. So
You say so.
there's actually 6 cartoons.
If
in
you
total.
say so, Jeff.
And I think he
fine.
also-
You know what? We'll give you the damn point. Give Jeff the point. Whatever. I don't like the argument. Here we go. Question number 6. Rudy Ising was once threatened with a lawsuit from Walt Disney. He was told to stop using these 2 characters as they were a blatant attempt on ripping off Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse. Name the 2
Oh, wow.
characters.
That's interesting.
Bosco and Honey,
No, that is incorrect.
Buddy and Cookie.
That is also incorrect.
Take another one. Go another one.
Oh, they did look like. I can't. Foxy, and I can't remember the other
You got
character.
this.
I can't remember the name
Sounds similar.
So similar.
Foxy and Flaxy.
Similar.
Just take a-
Just take a wild guess for
Flaxy.
But no, Foxy and Roxy,
Foxy
the
and Roxy,
Foxes.
yes.
Wait.
Foxy and Roxy did look
Wait.
a lot like Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse.
We go. Foxy. You almost got it. It sounds similar. Flaxy.
Yeah, I would have said Moxie if anything.
I'm starting to see why you don't win trivia nights, dude. Because that's not.
I was thinking of Flaxseed. I don't know.
Who's Flaxy?
Flaxseed. He was thinking
Flaxseed?
of.
You.
I don't know.
It's a foodie.
Foxy, yes.
All right,
All right.
all right. We've got.
You got half, though.
We've
You gotta
got
give him
4
half
more
point.
questions to go. I'll give him something. Here we go. Question number 7. Mel Blanc replaced Joe Doherty as the voice of Porky Pig starting in what year?
1937.
Correct. Question number 8. Who voiced Granny in Corn on the Cob?
Oh boy, you know what? It wasn't June Foray, and it wasn't B. Bennett Darrett, and it also wasn't Julie Bennett.
So it would have had to have been.
I can't remember her name. I honestly can't remember her name.
Take a guess, for fuck's sake. You never know.
It's
Joe. Joe.
I said, okay, so it's not Joan Bennett. It's not June Foray.
No. Joe.
You're closer on the first guess.
Joanne Webster.
Joan Gerber was the answer we
Gerber.
were looking for.
That may have been,
Yeah.
She later went
it's great
on
She
to-
was on that cartoon, but that may be in the one Warner Brothers cartoon she did a voice for.
Oh, well,
And
there
she
you
also
go.
later went on to form a very successful baby
Food company.
That's right.
Wow, I didn't see that coming. All right, question number
See what I
9. Who voiced Granny in It's Nice to Have a Mouse Around the House?
That was Julie Bennett.
It was not. Want to guess again?
June Foray.
Nope. Want to guess again?
I don't know.
The
Ricardo
answer is
Montalban.
Gigi Pearson.
Yeah, I do know that. I could see.
Is this the last question?
This is the very
This
last
is the last
question.
one,
Last
dude.
question, Jeff.
You
So
gotta
I
pull
don't
it
know
in,
what
bud.
your score is.
I got
Mine-
money riding on this, Jeff, so you got to
we
pull this
both-
in.
We're both betting on you.
Come on, buddy.
Question
Yeah, but I'm
number
betting for you.
10.
He's
Can we have a
against you.
timpani roll? Do we have a timpani roll sound? Probably not.
Did you?
Question number 10.
You should start it right now.
Who Hey, all right, that's enough. Stop that. Who took over the role? I'll start again because Lou fucked that up. Who took over the role of Elmer Fudd for one cartoon, 1958's Pre-Hysterical Hair, after regular actor Arthur Q. Bryan joined in that year's musician strike and refused to work?
Al Smith,
Do you want another shot?
Dave Barry.
Correct.
So
Let's
is
give
that
him
Dave Barry,
one.
like the guy who writes books,
No,
Dave Barry?
I doubt it because Dave Barry, who's probably about 60 years old these days, would have had to have been about 2.
Sorry, did you say 6 years old?
Dave Barry would be about 60.
Oh, I
these
see.
days.
Oh, 60.
Yes.
I thought you said 6.
So I
Because
don't
then
think
back in the 30s, he would have been.
Zero. It would have been a bad idea.
to cast a baby that wasn't even
A
born
drunken night's repercussions.
Yes. Well, you know what, Jeff? I don't know what your score was. I have no clue. But I
I think
will
he got
say
more than
this.
he didn't get, though.
It sure feels that way.
It's close. I would say it's close.
I
A
would
lot
say
of
it's
them
close.
were very like a lot of one-hit wonders,
Yes.
which is fine. I'm not complaining. That's
It
I'm
feels
glad,
like
I'm
you are-
glad that you asked me.
It
these
feels like you are
questions.
complaining a little bit, Jay.
No,
No, but you know what I found the last time? Like you sailed through them last
Yeah.
time, and I think because they were just kind of general questions,
Yeah.
maybe the most popular questions. But these,
But
this
it's
one, it was I was able to pick out different.
You know
facts
what
and
this
things,
one was, and
yeah.
again, I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
It was
good.
asking trivia questions about the Beatles, but not about the Beatles themselves. It was like
Oh, that's
their
interesting.
friend that
Yeah.
lived 2 doors down
Yeah.
from Paul McCartney, or the person who
Well, how do you not know that?
Bill Hudson.
who cut their hair. Gave them the mop tops.
he went by Billy.
So it was about sort of
Yeah.
the
Barbara was Sam
peripheral
Smith.
people around Chuck Jones.
Later
and
was
Fritz
in the
Freleng,
Barber Seville.
You know, so but that's good. That's part of Warner
Well,
Brothers.
it's all part of the Warner Brothers
yeah,
universe,
I
my
did
friend. And
actually
if you're
quite
gonna
like that.
be a spaceman out in the Warner Brothers universe, you need to know.
And it was still
things.
way more than I would have known.
I wouldn't have
Sure.
gotten one of those
Yeah.
questions. Not one. There's no way.
I would have made this noise a lot.
And I mean, and that's the interesting thing. Like you took it to a whole new level, right, in your life, because Lou and I watched the cartoons,
Yeah.
reveled in the cartoons, loved them. I'm sure we had some of our best days laughing our
Easily.
asses off to
Easily.
these cartoons. It wasn't until I was an adult that I realized how much I actually liked the Roadrunner cartoons, because
that's true.
I just I didn't like it as a kid, but
Me neither.
You know, but I never was able. I never had the interest to find out more about how did this all come together. I don't know why.
To me, what was fascinating about the Roadrunner cartoons, because it was the same for me, it was always the one that I'd go and make a sandwich at when it would come on. And then as I got older and I started to realize, if somebody were to make a company that just sold the actual Acme products, there must be hundreds of them. And when you look at a premise like portable poles, right? Like
Yeah, that's
that's
pretty-
genius.
yeah.
Or earthquake pills, that's genius.
Yeah, yeah.
So I agree with you. As I got older, they're the ones that. But Bugs Bunny and Daffy particularly always had a real appeal to me, particularly in that Robin Hood short, because I think I saw probably more of the 40s and 50s stuff.
Yeah.
But-
well, there's a good reason for that.
Which is?
Growing up, as we were both born 1960s, and so you guys grew up in Ottawa, right?
Yes.
What was available from about 1968 to about 1972 were the post-48 cartoons. Now, let me explain. Around 1956, 57, 58, Warner
You
Brothers...
know too much.
Warner Brothers sold all of their cartoons, their color cartoons, and all of their live action films. So the Maltese
Sold
Falcon,
them to who?
Casablanca. I can't remember. They sold them to I want to see Associated Productions of America, but they may have eventually obtained them. They did sell them to somebody. So they sold the Maltese Falcon. They sold Casablanca, but they also sold the first Bugs Bunny cartoon. They're called the pre-48 cartoons because it was all the cartoons up to 1948, and actually the first half of the cartoons in 1948. The post-48 cartoons are, of course, the other half of 1948 and all the cartoons after 1948. So the Bugs Bunny Roadrunner Hour, for example, when they were actually initially putting together the Bugs Bunny Show, which eventually became the Bugs Bunny Roadrunner Hour, the Bugs Bunny Show, and I believe it was Chuck Jones and Frizz Freleng and then Barbara McKimson who chose which cartoons to have, they could only choose from the post-48 cartoons. So, which included the black and white cartoons, which are sold separately, which are all pre.
Well, that was lucky though.
Well, see, here in Ottawa, we only got the Bugs Bunny Roadrunner, which was great, but we didn't get. There was no station that showed the syndicated cartoons, which were still only the post 48 because the pre 48 cartoons were in a separate.
Are you sure about that, dude?
syndication
Because
package.
I could swear staying home from school and watching some Bugs Bunny, and it wasn't the Bugs Bunny Roadrunner hour.
Well, no,
I could swear.
But
mind you, I'm older than you, but
no, I think you're slightly younger.
really,
Yeah, I could be wrong, but anyways, whatever.
and maybe it's just it's one of those things where you
Too
look
bad we
back.
can't figure that out.
The point is, here in Ottawa, and
I require math, and I was told this is a math-free zone. So
the first time the pre-48 cartoons were shown on TV in Ottawa, where you could actually get it on a station in Ottawa, would be around 1984, 85.
that's so weird.
So all you saw in Ottawa, and of course nobody had the internet in those days. It's not like DVDs were just sort of beginning, and even then, the initial Warner Brothers releases. Warner Brothers, who owned the Post 48 cartoons, could only put out the Post 48 cartoons on DVD. MGM actually, by this point, and Ted Turner owned all the pre 48 cartoons. So that's why here in Ottawa, based on what was available on TV, that's why we never saw the early Bugs Bunny cartoons or the early Daffy Duck cartoons. So that's why people of our generation who grew up in Ottawa would have clearer memories when they were 5, 6, because we were seeing all the post 48 cartoons.
Those are some of the, in all sincerity, are some of the happiest moments I've had in my life.
Yeah, for sure.
Because they are each of those. I think why I gravitated towards Looney Tunes more than the Walt Disney stuff.
Yeah.
As much as I could look at the Walt Disney stuff and see that the technical achievement.
Yeah.
Right? Because the stuff was beautiful. Even
yeah.
if they were recycling cells, it still is gorgeous to look at, whether it's Dumbo or Cinderella or whatever the case is. And the truth of it is that there were advances in animation done because of Disney that you can't, and I have my issues with Disney himself.
Yeah.
But, the fact of the matter is that there were a lot of advances in that regard. But the Looney Tunes stuff was so not like anything else I'd ever seen. The temperament of it was a little bit vaudevillian, but because Bugs Bunny, if you take Bugs Bunny out of the equation, he's kind of a dick. Right?
Well, yeah.
Like, that's what's hilarious
Especially
to me.
the early Bugs Bunny.
Oh my
really
God.
was.
Robert
Very-
Clampett Bugs Bunny's,
He's brutal.
very much an anarchist.
But even Seville, he tortures Elmer Fudd. The one with the opera singer, where the guy's got the glove up and then he moves.
Oh, that, yeah.
the actual
Yeah.
opera singer in that cartoon, I can't remember his name, but they did bring in an actual
Did they
opera
really?
singer.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
And Michael Maltese, who wrote the cartoon, brilliant writer.
And the Maltese Falcon.
And the Maltese Falcon, yes.
And he created those Maltesers.
Yeah,
which
to
are
make
really
that
delicious.
sort
Why are
of
they
like,
down here?
to make that
Where
sort
do
of
you
song
store
where his voice is
Where do you
vibrating.
store your Maltesers?
Jesus Christ.
Honey, can you give me some Maltesers? Sure.
Michael Maltese, to get that little vibrating thing, like
Yeah.
when Bugs Bunny
The-
with the mallet.
Like the tremolo.
Michael Maltese actually went up to the guy. I don't know if he said I'm going to do this, but he did this, and he actually tapped his throat while he's singing this opera, like.
But if he's an opera singer, he should be able to do the vibrato anyway.
This is, you know what? These guys were
weird.
like the Beatles. They made stuff up. So maybe Michael Maltese made this story up, but it's still a really funny story.
It's a
from
great cartoon.
From a really funny guy, Michael
Yeah.
Maltese, who look at the list of cartoons that he wrote. This
But
guy.
that's what I mean, right? And then there's another one with Daffy Duck where, they pan back at the end and it's Bugs Bunny doing all the drawing.
Yeah.
He tortures Daffy Duck for like 2.5 minutes.
See, he is a bit of a dick.
You know what I
There's
mean?
no question.
Also
Yeah.
written by Michael Maltese and directed by Chuck Jones. In fact, two of the greatest Daffy Duck cartoons were done back to back by Michael Maltese and Chuck Jones.
Which ones?
Well, they did Duck 'Em Up, and the next one was Duck Dodgers and Duck
man.
Dodgers in the 24th and a half century. Those two cartoons.
So great.
I love
the
that.
Chuck
Super
Jones,
Duck is pretty great too, though.
Stupid Duck.
Oh,
Just a
my.
bit later, that's Robert McKimson. Ted Pierce.
So great.
Ted Pierce wrote that. But going back to the Roadrunner, there's an indirect connection to Mark Twain. Many people know Chuck Jones was a huge fan of Mark Twain. He read Mark Twain
Really,
all the time.
eh?
Yes, he loved Mark Twain. Was his favorite writer. Sort of the influence on the Frog, Michigan J. Frog, because
Did you know that Mark Twain's not his real name?
No, Samuel
Samuel
Lang-
Clemens.
No, it's
Clemens.
actually Kevin Twain.
Kevin Twain.
It was actually this Twain shall never
Well, Mark
meet.
Twain is, obviously why he called himself Mark Twain, because he used to work on steamboats, and it was a term, I guess, that not some
and he
kind
had
of
a
nautical
list.
term.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't say Twain properly.
That's right. That's right.
Right.
That's right. Like if he bought a dog, he'd have
I'm
to
a
say,
Steve
"We
Twain."
need to Twain." Well, he was like 60s. I don't know. If
We
he
need
said,
to Twain the
"Mama."
dog.
There you go. Yes. He's apparently from
Now,
Jersey
Samuel.
as well.
Shut up, Samuel.
Samuel.
But he wrote Roughing It, and there's an entire chapter on the coyotes, and that's how Chuck Jones got his interest in coyotes.
So explain this to me then, if I may ask. The coyote is pretty much mute up until one where it's the one where he builds the door, bing bong, and he gives him the business card, which is genius.
Allow me to.
That was
one
actually the
episode.
second Coyote cartoon. believe
So
it.
why is it that he had a voice at one point and then because it became more of a Laurel and Hardy thing versus a, you know what I mean?
You know what? Chuck Jones actually described Wile E. Coyote as a good actor. So in other words,
that's funny.
In the Coyote Roadrunner cartoons, it was more about the pantomime. It was more about
that's
the
really
action.
funny.
how the action is funny. How is this
Interesting.
yeah. going to backfire? Whereas
Well, they do facial expressions like every time he gets blown up,
yeah.
you're like, oh, like
Or
you
when
can
he-
feel it.
When he puts the little, there's like boulders coming. He's got this little, and he
Stick.
just looks. He's like, oh
And have his
boy.
name
Like when
on
he
my
falls
dress.
off and he's got the umbrella, but then he's got the yikes sign. It's like,
Yikes.
oh my god, it's genius. Like they're so clever, dude. Like even the
yeah.
the Daffy Duck Robin Hood one, the way they set up a joke.
Yeah.
And as somebody who worked as a stand-up comic, it's interesting for me to see how quickly they deliver on a bit, right? Because there's that whole thing where he jumps out of the tree when he's Robin Hood, and he's like, up. Is it up and away?
And
then
yoiks and away.
Yoiks and away.
Yoiks
Smashes into the first tree.
Yoiks and away.
A little bit affected.
Yeah.
Yoiks and away.
Yeah.
And then he's like, Porky Pig is Friar Tuck. He's
Yeah.
got the little stick. And he's like, stick, a pot, a dink, a dare. Oh, a stick. Like, it's so, the timing is perfect. The premise is perfect.
Yeah.
It's amazing to see that kind of output from one studio. Because
Yeah.
even Pixar inevitably put out a movie where you go, oh, okay, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Like,
It
that's remarkable.
They were consistently funny for about 25 years.
But across the range, right? Not just funny for like 20-year-olds or 30-year-olds.
no,
like,
exactly.
Yeah.
It's-
Everybody enjoyed them.
Exactly. It's this mass appeal. It doesn't matter. You're 10 years old in 1960 or you're 10 years old today. It's appealing. You're 15.
Well, that means you
18.
didn't age.
Hey?
That means you didn't age.
Yeah.
I'm going to ignore that. I have another question.
Different people are 10.
So, is it? I've heard, and maybe you can probably clarify on this, that the classical music that was used was because they had no other recourse in terms of access to other music.
Well, they actually had access. We mentioned the Warner Brothers song catalog.
Sure.
They had access to that, but a lot of times, especially Carl Stalling, like if he had somebody eating, he'd have a cup of coffee, blah blah, and whatever. It's about eating. I can't remember the exact title of the song. Or people were coming home from work. Like the wolf and sheepdog cartoons.
Oh,
for
God.
example.
With
He
the
would've-
punch clock, dude?
Yeah,
Oh,
he
my
would
God.
often play the 5 o'clock whistle. The 5 o'clock whistle's on the blink. My daddy's not home, and what do you think? My father's still at the factory because he doesn't know what time it happens to be. So they would often, Carl Stalling would often put that, but in different styles, but in different tempos, depending on what the mood.
But
of it-
I'm amazed at how much classical music they actually use. Because
Yeah.
my first exposure, my hand to God, to classical music was Bugs Bunny cartoons.
Yeah,
I'm not surprised.
They make
I'm not
reference to
surprised.
that in Seinfeld, and that Jerry's all his references are to Bugs Bunny cartoons. But the other thing too is these guys that made these cartoons were really smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Chuck Jones is obviously smart, but Frizz Freeling, Robert McKimpson, Robert Clampett, these were really smart people.
But that's what's interesting, because if you look at, to me, is what you look at, even with comic books, share a little bit of that, right? It's only a fairly recent thing that comic books have become accepted as being somewhat intellectual.
Yeah.
And yet,
Yeah.
every quantum theory, the first time I heard that was in a comic book. A good 20 years before it even came into the mass kind of idea. So it's interesting to me how there's this stigma a little bit for people who do animation or cartoons where it's like, well, you don't need to be as smart.
Yeah.
And yet, even if you look at the first couple of Toy Story movies, they're really friggin' clever.
Yeah.
Don Rickles, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
It's fantastic. So it's just interesting to me how there's that, like a, I don't know, not an aloofness, but like a condescension that people have sometimes towards that kind
Yeah,
of
they
stuff.
don't realize, and it's not just Warner Brothers cartoons, but they don't realize just the thought that went into it. I mean,
no kidding.
Chuck Jones quotes from George Santayana and all these authors. You know what I mean? Like when when he was interviewed, he would ask, "Well, I got this idea from like the Wolf and Sheepdog cartoons," and I can't remember the author, but or the person who said that but he based it on this thought. There are no judges, just people judging. There are no tramps, just people tramping. So to him, it was like the wolf and the sheepdog. Yeah, they're a wolf and a sheepdog, but when they're at work, they've got a job to do. And
But it's such a clever premise.
Yeah,
Like that's
yeah.
the core of comedies. You take something that is commonplace and you add in elements like it. You know, that's become a trope now. That whole idea of like, you know, when you're at work, that's your job, or blah blah blah. And the whole punch clock, that seems a little trite now because it's happened so many times.
Yeah.
It's like with the Twilight Zone. You look at the old Twilight Zone episodes. you'd be hard pressed to find a Twilight Zone episode that hasn't shown back up in a movie or a story since then.
Yeah.
That is remarkable. That is remarkable. So, I don't know. I think that's what I find fascinating about it is that it's an art form that is on its surface accessible, but Bugs Bunny has so many different elements that you appreciate as you change age. And I can't think of another animated show that does that. At first, you're like, oh, he's falling off a cliff because you're a little kid. And you're like, ah, it's hilarious. And then, as you said, you get older and you go, did he just name check Orwell? Like, what the hell is happening?
That's the other thing too. Like, first of all, and also when we were kids and we all read books or whatever, there was nothing written about Warner Brothers cartoons. There was nothing written about MGM or Walter Lantz. There's books written about Walt Disney, which there should have been, and there were. I would see the names in the credits: Friz Freleng, Chuck Jones, or I Freleng. That was another rule. They couldn't use their nicknames, so a lot of the times they're credited by their full names. Charles M. Jones, another not inside Chuck Jones.
Yeah.
That was a rule. They couldn't use their nicknames.
Weird.
Yeah. Tex Avery, Tex Avery's like Buzz Aldrin. Everybody calls Buzz Aldrin Buzz.
Yeah.
Well, everybody called Tex Avery Tex, but in the Warner Brothers cartoons, it says Fred Avery, which nobody called him. That's his name,
So
honestly.
weird.
That is weird.
But so when they started writing books, like there's this guy Steve Schneider who wrote this book that my grandparents gave to me many years ago, and about Warner Brothers cartoons, and Leonard Maltin of Mice and Magic, which I recommend for any cartoon fan. He covers all the bases. He talks about
Like the film critic Leonard Maltin?
Yeah, it's an excellent book of Mice and Magic. Read it. It's so much fun, and it's not just the Warner Brothers studio. He covers every major studio at the time: MGM, Walt Disney, you name it, UPA. But suddenly you could read about these guys. You could read about Chuck Jones. You could read about Michael Maltese. You could read about these. Oh, this is what these guys were thinking. Oh, wow, that makes the cartoons even more enjoyable.
I guess that would. That totally would.
Yeah.
There's a whole level we don't know.
Yeah.
When you point out things like when Chuck Jones was interviewed, and it was baby boomers, or not, we're not baby boomers, or we're sort of on the cusp, or we're not millennials, we're Generation Xers. Generation Xers were the ones to say, you know what, we're in university and we can have these guest speakers. Let's get Friz Freleng and Chuck Jones, because they used to go on university tours. Mel Blanc, same thing. So it was, quite frankly, it was our generation who knew that we need to preserve this.
Yeah.
We need to continue to show these cartoons. We need to get some interviews done with Friz Freleng, Chuck Jones, etc. And so when Chuck Jones says something like, okay, Coyote Roadrunner, the coyote maintains his speed in Coyote Roadrunner and also in the Wolf and Sheepdog cartoons. But if you notice, the Roadrunner is, of course, very fast. Yeah. The sheepdog barely moves.
Yeah.
Stuff like that's fascinating. We're like, yeah, there's the juxtaposition of the two cartoons.
It's a rabbit in the hair.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, in one, he's chasing this very fast animal, and how does his plans backfire? In this other cartoon, he's chasing this animal that barely moves.
Yeah.
I find stuff like that fascinating.
Me too.
And maybe I would have thought of it on my own, but when you hear Chuck Jones talk about it, it's like, yeah.
Well, and just to think that there was more going into it than this is a scene where he'll get hit in the head with a pen. Here's a scene. And then the things that happen out of those larger themes.
Okay. So,
just to say, but so it affects these overarching themes. But what I really like is the things that happen almost by happenstance, i.e., someone gets hit in the face with a pan, it stays like that.
Yeah.
Like that's the stuff you remember.
Yeah.
30 years later for some reason, because it defies the idea of, like, they very clearly have set up the physics for that universe, and that's what happens, and that's why Roger Rabbit works so well.
Oh yeah.
Right?
I again, and I go back to this every single time we talk about it, but my favorite scene from Roadrunner Coyote is when he gets the Acme helmet with the wheel. It's got a wheel on it, and he strings this wire down to the ground, and he's put bird food, and so he wants to zoom down the wire.
There's a target too, right?
Well, yeah, and he wants to zoom down the wire and catch the bird. But for some reason, there's a pulley on his helmet, so he's doing this upside down. I'm not sure why. But he gets his Acme helmet, he puts it on, he's whatever, he does up the strap, and then he spends, it's like a good 30 seconds trying to find his balance on this wire, and you're imagining he's going to zoom down the wire, whatever, and he's just getting it, and suddenly the wire goes bang, and he just goes straight down. But
it was always
they spend so much time.
That's what I mean.
Finding his balance, it was such a good setup.
But like I mentioned this the last time we talked about cartoons. In the Hansel and Gretel one, the fact that when the witch takes off that there's a cloud of hairpins is genius, right? Or the one with
Chuck Jones.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say the one with Dracula, that whole exchange. I'm an umpire. I'm a vampire.
I'm a bat.
Agrabacapocus. You're like, what am I watching?
That could have been
So
one of
great.
the trivia questions. Who did the voice of Dracula?
Oh, who did the voice of Dracula?
Ben Frommer, which I think that was. his
It
one
would have been great
cartoon.
if they got Bela Lugosi to do it.
Yeah, yeah, that would have been. Well, he got not Bela Lugosi, but
Boris
to
Karloff
do the Grinch,
to do
yeah.
How the Grinch, which he was at MGM.
Oh
at this
shit,
point.
that's right.
That's
eh?
right, yeah.
You know what, man? I was never a big Karloff fan, but his voice is perfect for the Grinch.
Oh, God, yeah.
Just perfect.
And the narration, everything. He was just...
You know how Chuck Jones and Dr. Seuss met? Because of course, How the Grinch is a
Drugs?
well, possibly that. But no, Theodore Geisel or Dr. Seuss wrote some of the wartime propaganda
Fight Club.
cartoons.
It was a Fight Club.
It was a Fight Club.
I thought it was Mel's Diner on Alice that they made.
No, that's a different.
Haven't we already
it's a
referenced
callback.
that?
We have...
It's called
yeah.
a callback.
Yeah. Big Bet! Remember?
Yes.
Theodore Geisel.
Kiss my grits! What a weird show, dude.
Yeah, it was.
What
it
a
was,
weird
it was
show.
pretty weird. Oh my God! So I don't know. I've had a blast again, and you know the whole contest thing is just to just to see where you're at, and but you know way more stuff than anyone else I know.
It is
for
very.
sure.
It's remarkable.
It's
And
remarkable.
thanks for letting us do this because it's
Yeah.
a cool. Like, not to put you on the spot, but it's interesting what it brings up, and your pool of knowledge in this is insane.
Yeah, even when the guy doesn't get the answer, he suddenly knows 60 other facts about the
I know.
question you've asked.
I know.
So I mean, that's pretty damn impressive, to be honest.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
so
it is. It's very cool.
This is the end of season number 7, and this also means the end of Lou's 5th season with us because you started in 3, and
Wow, it's gone by so
yeah, you've
crazy
done 5
fast.
seasons.
Crazy
and,
fast.
It is crazy.
Man.
Now, Jeff and I have already been discussing topics for season 8, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I got to ask again live.
Just so I'm not on the spot, you mean?
So that there's pressure. But would you join us again for another?
I am on tour with Hair for the next
Right,
8 weeks.
I heard about that.
and then I'm doing
Yeah.
an off Broadway,
Right.
waiting
So
for Godot,
cruel.
but we couldn't get the
How
rights,
can people
so it's actually
be so
waiting for Bill.
thoughtless?
It's a much different thing.
Easy to be cruel, easy to be hard.
I would be.
Give me your hair,
people.
long, beautiful hair, shining, gleaming, steaming, flaxen, waxing. All right.
Stop. Because here's the thing about Andrew Lloyd Webber. I hate him so much.
I don't think he.
He
wrote
wasn't.
there.
That wasn't Andrew.
He wrote
Lloyd.
Hair.
No, that was back in the. He wasn't even
No.
born then.
Well, he was born.
I don't think Hair was written in biblical times. I think it was about biblical times. Different.
He would have been a young boy in England
Yeah.
when Hair was being
Hair
produced
came
in
out in
America.
68.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So Phantom
Yeah.
is his.
No, he definitely didn't.
No, I don't think so. Well,
Yeah,
if he
Phantom
if he,
was Andrew Lloyd
Phantom of
Webber.
the Opera, the stage.
Well, I mean Phantom the Amusement Park, dude. I mean, that's a Kiss reference, kids. You can look that up.
Anyway, so season 8
All
is
right.
coming up, and we got a whole whack of new topics.
I'm-
I did not get a commitment from you. I'm surprised that
I
on
didn't think you'd pick
camera
up on that.
that
You know what, Norm? I will tell you honestly that this is. If you could stop looking at me, hey, stop staring me down.
yeah.
If you play this tape slowly, you will see me hold up a sign that says "Help."
And you'll hear, I buried Paul.
I would be happy to do it. I mean, I have so much fun with you guys, and it's a context for me to work in terms of as a stand-up that I'm not that is a little bit foreign.
Yeah.
So it's been very helpful for me in that regard, and it's just nice to spend time with people who enjoy what we talk about.
Yeah,
And to be part of something that I believe in is very cool. So
Yeah.
to answer your question, dude, not a fucking chance. To answer your question, I will be here, of course, as long as you need me to be here.
Absolutely. Well, you've changed the whole look of the show since you've joined us, and I love these.
For the better?
You've changed the whole look of the show since you've joined us, Lou, and I couldn't be. So yes, for the better. my
Thank
friend.
you.
Come on. So next time we'll do this again, and the
Yeah.
only thing we have to think about is what are we going to talk about on the finale episode of the next season. So we've done inventions.
Yep.
We've done cartoons.
Yep.
Well, we've done space, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I
that
love
was
talking
a-
about
that was a lot of fun.
Is there something else that the three of us could just really sink our teeth into?
I've got space inventions. I've got
Cartoon space?
inventions made in space. I've got, you know what? Because it should be a kind of big topic. So I'm not really sure. We'll give it some thought. Is there
Yeah,
anything
give
that
it
you
some
kind of
thought.
came to your mind that thought
I don't know. I love
maybe
doing,
AI?
I love doing the invention thing. That was always funny because we always had really cool ones and really
Yeah.
stupid ones.
Well, and I mean, in fairness, most of them were.
Most of them were stupid.
My question is always the same with those. How are you? Because you know that if they made an ad for it, he sold more than one. That's what's amazing. To
That's
me,
what's
right?
amazing.
Like
Yeah,
that
they
you
sold
more
one.
than one of
Yeah,
these.
yeah.
And that there's somewhere again, as I've said many times, looking at this thing and going, like the burger grill car thing, is still like haunts me.
Yeah.
Like, who wants to cook a burger when you're driving to Etobicoke? What are you doing?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. You know what? We'll put our
Bought
heads,
one, though.
we'll put our collective heads together. We'll think of a great finale episode.
Yes.
We'll have fun again, and most of all, thank all of you
Thank you.
for joining us here on the Meltdown, and we'll see you next season. Ciao, everyone.
Bye.